everyone. Today we are going to continue working on your element profiles. So before we start in Mack, I wanted to refresh your mind at what your element that you chose last time we were together was. So if you forgot, go over to your Google Classroom. I'm using period 2 for example. And if you go to classwork, it is the very first assignment at the top. Pick an element for your element profile project. And if you click it, it'll take you to your class's Google Doc. And in that Google Doc, you will see the entire class list and each element that all the students of that class picked. So find your name, that is your element. If you did not pick an element, I went ahead and picked one for you. So none of them are duplicated, and no, you cannot change them at this point. So if you wanted a little more information about your element, you can click this link right here and it'll direct you to an easy to read periodic table. So you can find your element by the atomic number, or if the element symbol stands out, and the symbol is represented by a capital letter and sometimes also followed up by a lowercase letter. It's never two capitals. All right, so once you refresh your memory on what your element is, you are going to now be the expert on that element. So now it's time to go into Mack. So here we are at your Mack library. We are almost through the atoms and molecules unit. So go ahead and click that green arrow. And once you are here, you are going to go to lesson 3, the engineer option 1. There are 2 options. We are only going to be working through option 1. So go ahead and click option 1. And when we were together last, we went over this presentation. It was a little bit about the periodic table and also introducing what you guys are going to be doing for your project. Step 2 is the 2 vocab words that were introduced in the presentation. If you forgot, the first one is chemical element. And the second one is chemical compound. So if you need a refresher on what each of those are, you can review in step 2. Step 3 is an example of what your element profile could look like. So this one has the basics and a little bit more. They added a lot of pictures and a lot of captions to theirs. And step 4 is where your worksheet is. So by now, you should have question 1 completely filled out. It should have your element name, the symbol, which is the capital letter or capital and lowercase. Please make sure that it is written correctly. The atomic number, which is also the number of protons your element has, and the atomic weight. All 4 of these can be found on the periodic table. And the last question is one that I wanted you guys to research. So I wanted you to tell me, at room temperature, is your element a solid, liquid, or gas? If you don't know what your element is at room temperature, all you have to do is go to Google and you can type out what is carbon at room temperature. Obviously use your element and pops up nice and quick. It is a solid. So if you have a different answer other than solid, liquid, or gas, please research your element and tell me that exact. You don't need to type in these degrees. All you have to do is ask Google, what is it at room temperature? Once you're done with that, we can move on to question 2. Now, Mack is only asking for chemical properties, but I want you to tell me the physical and chemical properties of your element. So what exactly are physical and chemical properties? Physical and chemical properties are the way your element looks and behaves. The physical properties are the way they look, and the chemical properties are the way they behave. So some physical properties of your element may be its color. It could be light, dark, a specific color like gray. It could be shiny, dull. Some elements even have a smell to them. Lots are odorless, meaning you cannot smell them at all, and others have a very distinct smell. Some elements have a taste to them. Some elements can be described as malleable, which means it's bendy or not. Some can be described as ductile, which means the element can be stretched. And some chemical properties are, is it toxic? Or is your element toxic or poisonous to humans? Is it flammable? Does it catch fire when it is in certain environments? And also, is it reactive, which means does it change when combined with something else? Like when your element is combined or when your element is near a specific other element, does it cause a reaction? Keep in mind, not all elements have all of these chemical and physical properties. So I want you to just tell me what chemical and physical properties are specific to your element. Now it is your turn to do a little bit more research about your element. So go back into Google and you can search physical and chemical properties of and your element name. And I want you guys to just do some quick searches. I don't really want you guys going through these really big articles about whatever your element is, but do some quick clicking. Right here is where I like to get a lot of my information. So what are 3 physical properties of carbon? If you click on it, it says right from the start, carbon is soft, dull gray, or black non-metal that you can scratch with a fingernail. So those answers are good enough to type in to your question 2. So go ahead and do that right now. Question 3 now is, what compounds can your element create? And what are those compounds used for? So first, let's remind us, what exactly are compounds? Chemical compounds are different things that your specific element can form. So I am going to use carbon as my example. So those of you that have carbon, I should not see any of these chemical compounds used in your examples. There are plenty of other carbon compounds that you can use from. So carbon is just one element. But when carbon is bonded with any of the other elements, they combine, they bond, and make completely new things. So carbon can bond with hydrogen and oxygen to make glucose, and glucose is sugar. So 6 carbons, 12 hydrogens, and 6 oxygen atoms all combine to create glucose. Carbon can also combine in a different way. So 8 carbon atoms and 18 hydrogen atoms can combine to create oil. And this type of oil is the oil that gets stuck underneath the earth and is sitting there for thousands and thousands of years and gets drilled up and turned into gasoline. So that's this. This is the chemical compound for that type of carbon. Same carbon also can bond with hydrogen in a completely new, different way. So this time it's 2 carbon atoms and 4 hydrogen atoms can combine and bond to make polyethylene. And polyethylene is a type of plastic. So a chemical compound is taking your element and combining it with different elements in very specific, very unique ways to create completely new, different things. Now it's time for you to do some research, and all you have to do again is go to Google and type in your element name. And do some quick searches. So at the top, you're going to see a whole bunch of tiles, and those are going to be your chemical compounds for your element. So all of these are chemical compounds. They are all very different, and you can see specifically what they're made of. So carbon dioxide is CO2, so 1 carbon, 2 oxygens. Methane is 1 carbon, 4 hydrogens. There are lots of different types of alcohol with carbon. There's carbon monoxide, benzene, carbolic acid. All of these are carbon compounds. So what you guys will have to do is just click on any 3 of them and find out a little bit more about them. So I'm going to click on benzene. So I'm going to scroll down and look for what products have benzene in them, or you can click on what is benzene used for. So I'm going to click on either of those, and it'll quickly tell me benzene is used in paints, gasoline, glues, furniture wax, detergents, thinners. So that quickly gives us a little bit more about what benzene is used for. And a reminder, benzene is a chemical compound that contains carbon. So benzene is made up of 6 carbons and 6 hydrogens. So now you can go back to your Mosa Mack and tell me, what are 3 compounds that your element can create, and what are they used for? Tell me 3. Now, time for question 4. Question 4 is where all the fun begins. Question 4 is brainstorm aspects of your element that can be incorporated in your character. What is the coolest part of your element? For example, think about special abilities, uses, personality, and colors associated with your element. So what about your element that you researched can you transform and help bring your character to life? Is your element angry and mean and mad? Is your element nice and pure and lovely? Does it have a certain color to it? Is it smelly? What about your element can add to the character that you're going to bring to life with your profile? So right now, go ahead and tell me in a few sentences, what type of personality is your element going to have? Now for question 5, this is just going to be your rough draft. This is not going to be your final profile. I want you to draw me a quick sketch of what your character is going to look like. What is that element going to look like once you bring it to life? It could be a human-like figure. It could be an animal-like figure. Whatever you feel makes the most sense with your element. So I am attempting to draw a human-like figure. And I am going to add a little bit to my human-like figure. So my element, and this is of course an example, I am going to say my element is very flammable. So it catches flame and it catches fire very easy. So I'm going to make my element have a component of fire in it. And you could even change your elements, facial features. Is your element nice? Is it sad? Is it angry? So what type of personality will you give your element? And also play with some of the colors. Is your element a cold element? So maybe you can draw it in blue, like ice cubes or snowflakes, whatever it may be. So you are the one that gives your element that personality. So bring that personality to life with this sketch. So give me a quick little overview of what type of character are you going to use in your profile. And again, this is just a rough draft before you get started with your actual profile. So go ahead and do that right now. Once you're completely done answering all 5 questions and you are ready to submit, go ahead and hit submit and you are done for the day. Thanks, guys.